My channel, I'm Desiree Wilson. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and the owner and director of Anxious Black Girls. Anxious Black Girls is a virtual mental health therapy practice. We serve Black women exclusively in this space. We hold space for high functioning, high performing Black women who are really struggling with navigating their lives, figuring out why they're struggling so much in their relationships, with managing their anxiety, depression, past traumas. We really do a lot of work around unpacking the stuff that have become roadblocks for you, reaching certain milestones in your life, or just simply being, right? Being present and going after the life that you want and desire. The real life that you want, right? So in this space, I really just talk to you guys about some of the common issues that my clients deal with. And this week, we're going to be talking about codependency in our relationships. And I really want you guys to understand that everything that we do, however we show up, is really rooted in something probably from our past, some unhealed, unpacked, unresolved issues or traumas. But, you know, it doesn't mean that you can't show up differently, right? It doesn't mean that. So before we hop in, click that subscribe button so that you can be updated whenever I post new videos. And then also be sure to share this with somebody, right? Share this with somebody who you think this information would be very useful for. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump right in. And then for anyone who's been watching, you know that I always have my iPad here, and if you want a copy of this worksheet, there's a worksheet for every single one of the videos. Well, every single of the mental health related videos. All right. And it just has all of the information and more that I'll be sharing with you here. You can go to anxiousblackgirls/videos to get your copy. All right. So what is codependency? You probably have heard this before somewhere and you don't really know, but you know that it has something to do with the way that you are in relationships, and it's not good, right? So I always tell my clients that codependency is when you need to be needed by the person in the relationship who needs to be needed themselves. So there's a whole bunch of neediness going on here, okay? So I'm going to read it directly from here just so that you can get like the clinical definition of it. And then we're going to talk about some symptoms. We're going to talk about what that codependency can be rooted in, what the risks of codependent behaviors are, and then how to address it, okay? So you're going to learn and you're going to get some tips, okay? All right, so codependency refers to a mental, emotional, physical, and even spiritual reliance, okay? Dependency reliance, okay, on your partner. Now, codependency is an unhealthy attachment in your relationships. It's where one person needs the other person, who in turn needs to be needed, okay? The codependent person, known as, sometimes we call them the giver, feels worthless unless they are needed by and making the sacrifices for the enabler, right? And that's usually the person who is the taker. So you're the giver, you're in a relationship, you feel like unless you are sacrificing all of yourself and everything that you have worked for in life for the other person, that you are worthless and you don't really serve a purpose. And then that other person is loving it because they are the taker. And the way that they get the love and the security in their relationship is by feeding off of that person who's going to give so that they could take. All right. Some of y'all might be triggered already. That's okay. We're going to work through this. We're going to learn how to sit with the discomfort. Okay. So what are the signs? What are the signs of being in a codependent relationship? And the problem with recognizing when you are in like a bad situation is that because your behaviors have been so normalized, right? You've either witnessed this unhealthy kind of way of being in a relationship and you think it's normal, or you were in that kind of relationship with your early caregivers, right? So, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So you may have a hard time recognizing that your relationship is codependent because you are just so used to existing in that way. Hope that makes sense. But you can become aware, because usually by the time you get to me, the therapist, you already know that this isn't working anymore. Whatever is happening here in my relationships, I'm tired of it happening, and I need to figure out another way to do this. So what's going on? So let me give you the signs, okay? And I'm going to pose some questions to you, okay? And these are the signs that's wrapped up in questions that's going to like let the light bulbs go off in your head. So a sign of being in a codependent relationship means that you're feeling like you're walking on eggshells. Are you feeling like you're in this relationship and you're having to anticipate emotions? You're feeling like you're walking on eggshells. You don't want to shake the boat, right? Because you're trying to avoid some sort of conflict with your partner. Are you feeling the need to be checking in with them? You all right? Or do you need anything? Is everything okay? Right? Or maybe even asking permission. I was thinking about this, or, can I do this? Are you in this kind of dynamic, right? Where you don't have comfort because you're in a space of avoidance. I don't want to have conflict. I don't want to set them off, right? Are you often being the one to apologize, even if they're the ones who did something wrong? Are you finding yourself feeling like the only way that you're going to be able to really just get back, because you're so uncomfortable with the discomfort in the relationship or the conflict that just happened, that even if they were the ones who did something wrong, you're the one apologizing, right? Are you feeling sorry for your partner even when they're the ones that hurt you? So it's along the same lines, right? Are you apologizing, or you're feeling this intense sympathy for them when they are clearly, maybe not clearly for you, but in the relationship, maybe to other people who's outside looking in can be like, well, you don't need to apologize for that. You didn't do anything wrong. But in the relationship, you're feeling like you are the one who needs to fix, okay? Are you feeling as if you've lost yourself? Have you been over functioning so much in this relationship, trying to fix your other partner, trying to get them in, get them together or meet their needs, that you have lost sight of who you are and what your specific needs are? Is that you? Right? Are you trying to change or rescue your partner who's either low functioning, right? So they are not holding up their end of the bargain or their part in the relationship, right? Maybe they have some sort of addiction or problem, money issues, maintaining a job, right? Are you the fixer? Are you the one who's going out of your way to try to save them, even when you may know logically that the problems that they have are out of your reach and you are completely unable to fix them? It's beyond your ability actually to fix them, but you're still trying, okay? Are you doing anything for your partner, even if it's making you uncomfortable and sacrificing and compromising on your own stuff? Are you putting this person on a pedestal even when it's not merited? Are you holding them up high, saying that this person is so awesome and so amazing and better even than you, when it's not merited, when that's not actually the truth, when you kind of step back from it? Is there a need for other people, right? Are you having a need for other people to like you in order for you to feel good about yourself? And then finally, I want you to hear this. Are you struggling to find any time for yourself, especially if most of your free time is wrapped up in trying to fix someone else or wrapped up in worrying about what's going on with someone else? I want you to understand that codependency has no room for you in it. There's no you when you're codependent, because there is no sign of where you end and where they begin. You are so reliant on saving them, getting their approval, getting the feedback, trying to fix them. You're fully consumed. It's all consuming. Is that you? Sis, are we doing this? We doing this for real? No judgment, no judgment. I've been there, right? So what has been very helpful for me and even my clients is recognizing that this is rooted in something. You didn't just wake up one day and decide that you are going to be codependent and reliant. Right? You did not just wake up one day and say, all of who I am is wrapped up into this person, and all of my happiness and peace comes from what I am doing and how I'm sacrificing. So that's not what happened. What I have come to see, to conceptualize why we're showing up in this way, because I've been there, right? Why we're showing up in this way, I have found that understanding our attachment styles can really open the door for us. So if you don't know anything about attachment theory, I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to. Let me sip a little water, y'all, because we're about to go in. Okay. Heavy on a little. So if you don't know anything about attachment styles, I'm going to give you a very bite-sized but well-informed lesson on attachment styles. So attachment, and again, I'm looking here because I want to make sure I give it to y'all good. Attachment styles are categorized by the different ways that we are interacting and behaving in our relationships. And this is heavily rooted in those early significant relationships in our lives. So mom and dad and grandma, whoever the primary caregiver was, what was their response to you? And how did you learn to be in relationship with them? Okay? Because that really sets the foundation and shows up in our lives later. And a lot of times we go through our whole lives functioning in this way, especially if it was dysfunctional, and we don't know how to not be this way. Okay? So let me read to you. It says, as a child, right, you are dependent on your caregiver. You seek comfort from them. They soothe you. They support you. They do all of these things. But what if they don't? What if you were the baby who was crying and crying and no one came to soothe you, right? Were people responsive to your needs? Were your needs getting met? How were they in relationship with you, right? In order for us to show up as secure and safe in our relationship, we would have needed to know what that felt like from an early age, right? So we needed to learn that I can trust people. People are trustworthy. If I need something, they meet my needs, at least the people that I care about specifically. The people who love me and care about me, that they are trustworthy and I can trust them and I can be trustworthy as well. Therefore, when I get into a relationship, I'm not going in there with all of these unhealthy thoughts, thinking that people are out to get me or that I can't get too close because I'm going to get hurt. Because the foundation of my life when it comes to relationships was one that was responsive and safe, right? So when there is a mismatch in that, when there is not the response that we need in order to create safety for us, then the world is not safe and people are not safe. And we end up being anxious. We either become avoidant or a combination of both, right? So there's 4 different types. There is the securely attached person, the anxiously attached, the avoidant person, and then the anxious and avoidant combination. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about each. The secure person, right? They have the ability to form secure and loving relationships with others, right? They are, the way that they attach in relationships, like I said, they understand that they can be trusted and other people can be trusted, loved and accepted, and it's okay to get close. It's okay. Yes, we may get hurt. Yes, these are things that can happen naturally in a relationship because remember, the secure person may not get another secure person and things are going to happen in the relationship, right? But we also know that we can bounce back. We know that we can bounce back from that. It doesn't shatter our world. But what about the anxious people? Shout out to the anxious people. I see y'all. That's me. right? I have done a lot of work. So I have definitely been able to become more secure in my relationships. And in dating or being with someone, my husband is incredibly reassuring, consistent, is how amazing. So he's definitely an example of when you are in a relationship with a person who is more secure in the way that they attach, right? That you two can grow to be more consistent. But it wasn't just him. It was all of the work that I did on myself. So anxiously attached people, right? You are insecurely attached to your partners, right? There is a deep fear of abandonment. So I want you to picture the children who lose their shit when the parent leaves. Oh my gosh, they're crying, they're in shambles, they're terrified, right? Now most kids for the most part, when the mom leaves or dad leaves, whoever the person is that they so adore, when that person leaves, the world is scary. They want that person close. But when we're talking about the real anxiously attached person, their world crumbles when any sign of the person pulling away from them appears in the relationship. Your anxiety is immediately activated, okay? So I want you to think about your life, right? And how you're showing up in relationships. And are you needing constant reassurance? And if you're needing that constant reassurance, I want you to recognize how in codependent relationships, right? In order for you to feel safe in your relationship, you need constant feedback. So you're going to be doing more and more and more and more and more. How exhausting, right? How exhausting. Your worry about your partner leaving or you needing that validation is like the building blocks of codependency in a relationship. Now let's talk about the avoidant people. Now, the avoidant people are a major trigger for me, right? These are the people who are aloof. They don't want relationships. They want nothing to do with closeness. In fact, closeness makes them so uncomfortable. But listen to this here. This is another example of being insecurely attached. They actually want the love. They want the love, they want the closeness, right? But somewhere in those early years of their relationships, they recognize that the people who love them leave them. And it was such a very painful experience for them that the stories and narratives in their head is that I can't get too close. When I get too close, it's too painful, right? It's too painful, all right? So people with avoidant attachment, they tend to have trouble getting close to others and trusting other people in relationships, and relationships make them feel suffocated. Now, I want to put this out there. Do you know who the most popular couples are in just general population? Like the two attachment styles? You got it. The anxious and the avoidant people, they find each other all the time, right? So this is you, the anxious person, wanting to give, and they want to take. And the reason why they're not giving is because they don't want to be too close. And then when you get too close, they're running away, right? But they still gonna take because they want the connection. So this is the tug of war that we constantly see in our lives, because when you really think about it, the anxious person and the avoidant person are really meeting each other's needs, but in a very unhealthy way. Very, very unhealthy way. Now we have the fearful avoidance, okay? Now the fearful avoidant is a combination of the anxious and the avoidant person. Now these people are fearful, right? They want the attention, right? But they also become very, very scared, right? They're very, 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 very afraid. So they may go into the relationship, but when you start to change, or when you start to pull away, or when the ebbs and flow of the relationship happens, then that anxiety for them starts to activate, and then they get very confused. Do I push in? Do I pull out? Like I don't know what to do. So I want you to recognize that the way that you are trying to get your needs met in relationships really can set you up for having either a very successful one where you are aware that, yes, you know, I may be very anxious when my anxiety is going off. It doesn't mean that my partner's leaving me. It doesn't mean that anything is going wrong. Maybe I just need to tap into myself and try to meet my own specific needs. Maybe I need to check the way that I'm thinking about things. Maybe I need to communicate with my partner about their behaviors, right? But that creates that in itself means that you have a lot of awareness, which a lot of people do not. Okay? Codependent relationships are so stressful for both parties involved that it has such a huge impact beyond just like, oh, I'm feeling stressed, right? So let's talk a little bit about what those risk factors are, right? It usually is going to result in some sort of negative impact, whether it's on your mental health, your physical health, you're so stressed out, right? So you need to recognize that if I am in this relationship where I'm constantly in this dance with my partner, or I am constantly, all of those signs and symptoms that I said before, my anxiety is through the roof, I have to accommodate and make some changes. Something's not right. When you are in these kind of behavior patterns in your relationships, it actually increase your risks of like health issues, right? So you can develop like physical health issues, blood pressure, right? Heart disease, those kind of things. Why? Not because you're in the relationship, but the impact of being in that relationship, the stress that you're in, right? If you're that person, if you're the giver in the relationship and you don't want to lose them, you may end up doing some things that you don't usually do in order to stay in that relationship. So I think about, what if I'm in a relationship with someone who is an addict? What if I'm in a relationship with someone who doesn't do well with money, right? If I'm trying to keep them here with me, I might be giving money out to them, making bad decisions about the things that I am doing. I might be taking some drugs. I might be involved in sexual behaviors that I may not have done before. So I want you to realize that there are significant risks when we don't have the awareness around how we're showing up. Are you in a codependent relationship? Do you have these tendencies that would be the foundation to ending up in a space like that with someone? Very, very important to know. Now, if the light bulbs are flashing and you're like, oh my gosh, I've just learned something about myself, right? There is hope, as there always is. You can get help to break this cycle, okay? So let's talk about how we're going to address these behaviors in your relationship. First and foremost, anxiousblackgirls.com. If you're in the state of Florida and you want therapy, or if you're outside of Florida, you can join us in our healing classes, which we do in cohorts of 8 to 10 women, and it's about 6 weeks, and we work on specific things. $50 a group, and you can get the support you need. It's a class, right? You're gonna learn all the things, and that's available to anyone, anywhere. So if you want to learn about that, hit up anxiousblackgirls.com and sign up for a class or book a session for a therapy session, right? So in therapy, we do all types of different work, right? But cognitive behavioral therapy specifically, right? In addition to things like somatic therapy to deal with some traumas that you may have dealt with, I do a combination of that with just some other healing practices, right? It really raises your awareness of like how things are impacting you. We help you as therapists connect the dots, raise your awareness so that you can be more informed and you can make better decisions in your life. Your discernment will be sharper, and it's not going to be perfection, but we are going to see progress as long as you are committed to doing the work that you need to do to change your behaviors. So if you've never been in therapy, if you've been thinking about it, if you haven't been in a while, and you are recognizing that you are in a relationship that may have some codependent characteristics to it, I would suggest you booking an appointment ASAP, sis. Okay? After that, we're going to identify the patterns, right? How we need to know. We need to ask ourselves questions like, do you have the tendency to gravitate towards people who need a lot of help, right? Do you have a hard time asking people for help? Because remember, we're givers and takers. You may be on each side. We don't know. We don't know where you are. But do you have a pattern? If you look at the people that you've been in relationships with and they have these common traits, then you have a pattern. And we need to be honest about what that pattern is so that we can stop doing that, okay? Then learn about what healthy love actually looks like, okay? In a healthy relationship, your partner cares about your feelings. It's reciprocal. It's give and take from both parties. So we have to explore what healthy love looks like so that you are able to recognize it when it's before you. And then also when you can start to realize that, what I've been dealing with and accepting before may not be what I actually want or need. So I'm going to start to look at these certain characteristics, and when they're present, then that's a green flag for me to move forward. Then, of course, my favorite thing, you need to set some boundaries, sis. All right? A good book, because I'm always going to plug a successful and informed Black woman, is Nedra Tawwab. Set Boundaries, Find Peace. Excellent book on setting boundaries, and a good place to start if you really struggle with this or don't even know what they are. Okay? So, unless that you are involved with a problem, right, we're going to stop that savior stuff. We're going to stop, and we're going to allow people to be accountable for themselves. And you will not continue to be the fixer. No thanks, right? Don't offer solutions. Stop trying to help them find the job. I may be being extreme. But what I'm saying is, let's understand where we end and where other people begin, and allow people to show up for you and themselves, right? I want to make sure that you know how to help you, right? Do you have awareness about you? Okay? And then also, before you try to do something, I want you to ask yourself this. Why am I doing this? Right? Do I want to, or do I feel like I have to? Will this drain my resources? And will I still have the energy to meet my own needs? I'm going to stop there. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this was very helpful for you. If you want to connect with us, make sure to subscribe.